So let's talk about success for a minute. I mean, because success is probably one of the most misused and abused words in our English language, if we think about it. I mean, let me ask you, in your experience, when we hear someone being referred to as extremely successful, what do we usually assume is the measure of that success? I'm willing to bet that for most of us, it's usually money. We usually assume if somebody is successful that it's because they have money. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. But just think about that for a second, because it's an interesting point. Now, if you're anywhere near my age, back when I grew up, everybody assumed that our solar system was a certain size. But there was this theory that had been around since around 1951, a theory proposed by this astronomer named Gerard Kuiper. And he proposed that he believed there was this icy belt of objects in our solar system, but beyond the planet Neptune, somewhere in the far region of Pluto, which at the time was still a planet. And Dr. Kuiper's theory, it remained unproven from around 1951 all the way to 1992. And what happened was a couple scientists wound up in Hawaii to do some research, and they dared to prove these naysayers wrong. They wanted to prove that this Kuiper belt actually existed. So they searched and searched and searched for about 5 or 6 years till they finally found, well, they found pretty much nothing. Until one day, looking through their big telescope, they found a dot. On August 30th of 1992, the scientists Dave Jewett and Jane Liu, they announced the discovery of the candidate Kuiper belt object number 15760. But the object they found was huge, and it was orbiting the sun with this really wide trajectory. And suddenly, there was all this new data. There was this new perspective. And because of this new perspective, they got some new insights that forever changed the way we think about our entire solar system. I mean, the solar system grew. What we realized from the discovery of this Kuiper belt is that, number one, the Kuiper belt is the biggest structure in our solar system. And number two, by some accounts, the discovery of this Kuiper belt increased our solar system's known size by like 90%. Just from a little perspective, just by seeing something that we previously didn't or couldn't see. Now, this simple story, and by no means am I a scientist, but I use this story because it transitions to real life. It demonstrates the power of perspective and how unnecessarily limited our world can become if we cling to limited perspectives. But conversely, when we're willing to expand our perspective, that's when it becomes possible to get past old stories about how life is and what it means to be successful. I mean, my goodness, how many people in Western society are so unnecessarily missing out on truly enjoying life because despite all the evidence to the contrary, they keep on believing that if they keep hustling and grinding and working 12 or 14-hour days to get more money, then they'll finally be happy and successful. I mean, come on, you got to be kidding me. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a very strong affinity for money. I mean, if you ask me where I want my financial success to be on a scale of 1 to 10, my answer is, let's start at 15. But guess what? I also want my relationship with my wife to be at 15. I also want my relationship with my daughter on a scale of 1 to 10 to be at 15. I want my relationships with my friends, my influence on my clients and my customers. I want my health, my fitness, and my energy, my daily happiness on a scale of 1 to 10 to be at 15 or more. It's not just the money. I mean, come on, if we reach for the stars, then at least we'll be flying among the clouds. And people will say, oh, Aaron, please, that's such an old cliche. And my response is, yeah, it's only a cliche to those who don't have the guts to embrace it as a standard. And pardon my soapbox, but I believe it's my duty. I believe it's our duty to demand success and become the actual manifestation of success at every level and in every context of our life. That's how we raise the game. It's the only way to even be able to claim success. I mean, isn't it about time that people start leveling up their perspective about success and start realizing that in so many ways we can have it all? And just like the Kuiper Belt expanded our understanding of how big the solar system actually is, it's my goal that this course of instruction and this course of sharing with you will help you exponentially expand your idea of just how broad and how wide your success can be. And in this first module, we're going to talk about the 4 laws of pure success. And I believe it's one of those perspectives that if you'll open your mind a little bit to it and just allow yourself to ask, wow, what would happen if I condition this framework into my daily life? I mean, what would happen if it got to the point where these 4 laws started to run on autopilot in your business, in your marriage, with your children, with your friends, with your health and fitness, when you're at the gym? What would happen if you start claiming these laws? If you start claiming these laws as things you must do and not just things you should do? Because if you'll indulge me to be direct about this, the one thing you'll notice about a lot of success advice is that it's often really superficial and trivial. If you do a Google search, if you take a course on how to be successful, most of the time you'll hear a lot of the same rhetoric, to find out what your passions are and to know what your why is and to set clear goals and live purposefully and get an education and manage your finances and manage your time and be present in the moment, and a lot of really good things. And I don't say these, I'm not saying this to be disparaging towards those ideas. Those are excellent ideas. It's excellent advice. But a lot of that advice glosses over or just completely ignores the deeper issues. And I know this personally because I spent a lot of years reading and watching a lot of the advice out there, and knowing why you want something is extremely important, and having clear and defined goals, yes, that's huge on your journey towards having the life that you want. Prioritizing our time and writing down our intentions and writing down our goals, all those things will drastically improve your chances for success. But make no mistake, if you listen to nothing else from me, please focus your attention on this right now and put down what you're doing, because this is important. Those things, the whys, the goals, the priority management, the time management, they are not the foundation for your success. And here's why. Have you ever known someone who knew why they wanted something and who had really clear goals about what they wanted in their life or in their business? And they had goals for they had goals and a purpose written down, and they were educated and they were smart, and they had their checklists of priorities all organized and color coordinated, but yet somehow, inexplicably, they failed miserably. And they somehow flamed out and just quit. Somehow, in an almost terrifying fashion, having all the right plans laid out the way it was supposed to work just didn't work. I mean, do you know somebody like that? Have you ever heard of somebody like that? They had it all lined up and it just didn't work. Has it ever happened to you in some way, shape, or form? Because I can tell you for a fact, it's definitely happened to me. I've failed miserably at so many things, and I thought I had all the dots lined up in a row and everything was planned perfectly, but I failed horribly. And the reason is this: when it comes down to it, we're told a lot of superficial information about success, but we're rarely taught something deeper, something stronger, something that speaks to our identity and not just some well thought out checklist. Many years ago, I was a young police officer and I was up for my first promotion. And I thought I had everything lined up just right. I had the right amount of experience. I knew why I wanted to be promoted. I wanted some more financial security. I wanted to make my wife proud and my daughter proud, my family and friends proud. I worked hard and I worked a lot of hours, and I knew for a fact that I was better prepared for this promotion than anybody else I was up against. I absolutely believed it. I was confident. I thought it was go time. I thought I was good enough and ready to go. But as you can imagine, something interesting happened. I didn't get it. I got passed over for that promotion. And a short while later, I was up for the same promotion again, and guess what happened? I failed again. I didn't get it. Then it happened a third time. I got passed over again. And listen to me, make no bones about it, I was crushed. I felt like I had been ripped off, that I had been like robbed. I mean, as far as I was concerned, I knew on paper that I was the best candidate for the job. I had done better than anyone else. I thought I had more than enough qualifications. I was that dude. I was the right guy, but I felt cheated. And I'll be honest, I did what at the time seemed like a reasonable thing to do. I wallowed in misery and self-pity, and it was terrible. It was terrible not because the circumstances were so terrible. It was terrible because, quite frankly, I made it a terrible experience. You see, at the time, I had been living by the old philosophy of success. Work harder, make sure you're doing better than everybody else around you, put your time in, and believe that good things happen to those who wait. Do all the right things and be a good person, and good things will happen to you. And as frustrating as it is, many times that just doesn't work. It's just not enough, and I know it's not fair. But it's not that it's not fair, it's just a wrong strategy. But the good news is there is a happy ending to this story. Because I got to tell you something. I did ultimately wind up getting that promotion. And then I got one after that. And as it turns out, I wound up near the top of my industry and really being able to experience some amazing things and serve some amazing people in amazing ways. I've had more opportunities for influence and happiness and confidence and peace than I've ever had before. I've been able to accomplish and experience things that, quite frankly, when it comes down to it, I didn't think it was possible for me. And not just in my career, but in my family life, in my 20 plus years of marriage at this point, in my financial growth, in the growth of my business, my ability to reach people and make an impact. I've been so fortunate to be able to do things that I didn't think were possible. And it's largely been due to these 4 laws of pure success. I mean, this is a process that has been deconstructed by painstakingly studying the icons, the Bransons, the Oprahs, the Brouchards, the Robin Sharmas and Marie Forleos, and the Brene Browns and the Simon Sineks and Tom Billiers and so many more. When you study the success of those who are truly living successful across the board, with money but also in the way they relate and interact with people and their ability to influence and impact, it's due to their habits of prioritizing their inner process first. It's due to their habits that put into play these 4 laws of pure success.